My mindset on failure has always been fail fast. Try something. If it doesn't work, try it again. Try something else. We got a whole life ahead of us. I think that so many people, especially young professionals, exiting college or university, are trained to go find a stable, safe job. There's nothing wrong with that. I did the same thing. But, after some time, you kind of realize that it doesn't compare to working on something that you're really passionate about.
I have a moment from when I was in college. I had a professor that drew on the chalkboard and they were like, life isn't like this. It's not flat. It's not linear. It's like this. This whole experience of entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. I think we've all been at the top of these peaks and we've been in the low of the valleys. And the advice that I was given was, when you do feel like you're in the valley, just remember what it was like at the peak and know that life is not like this.
So as we start, if you want to give me a short intro to yourself, where you come from, how it all started.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, Max, thanks so much for having us. We'll be sure to bounce back and forth here and keep it relatively brief. My background, Dillon Del Rosso, co-founder of PeakBot, located here in northern New Jersey. I have a sales background, a sales and marketing background. I started my career in the world of sports sales with universities as well as pro leagues here in the States, including the NFL. Did that for a number of years, and then COVID happened. No more tickets or suites to sell. So at that point is when I actually turned on the entrepreneur flip and got into business here with Ben and started PeakBot. That was in 2020. I have a number of other different sales background as well, passionate networker and connector of people in business. And I handle the sales, marketing, and business development for PeakBot. And I'll kick it to Ben.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Dylan. I'll keep my background brief. I'm an accountant by education, licensed CPA in New Jersey. Got my master's in accounting from New York University. I spent 7 years with one of the big four firms. Started out in audit and moved into consulting shortly after. But 7 years before I decided to, take the leap and work on PeakBot full time. And we'll get into it as to what Dylan and I's day to day and emotions and roller coaster of a business we have, what that looks like. So excited to talk about it.
Yeah, be fun. It's a roller coaster. It's a headache. Some days you feel God. Some days you feel rubbish. It's unbelievable. The description of the feeling. It's wow. You need to be. This is why I really try to teach. I mean, I try to train the founders to be extremely resilient, which means to be a bit cold. Because if you have too much emotion, it takes too much. And it takes so much energy from you. Meanwhile, if you are rational when you run a business, it's better. It helps you be rational to don't absorb everything. But what was the motivation? Why? Let's put it this way: Dillon first and Ben second. So we keep in this way all the way up to the end. What was the motivation? Did you meet before? How do you start all this cooperation?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So motivation for me primarily was to find my way out of corporate America, to be totally honest with you. Checking in and checking out day to day. I wanted to find a way to be my own boss, right? And work on something that I was really passionate about. Ben and I have known each other for a long time. We grew up as neighbors. We played sports together all throughout high school and everything like that. So we're sick of each other by now. But really, the origin story here was, and I'll let Ben touch on this a little bit more, but when I was working in the NFL for one of the pro football teams, I had just started to make some decent money and some nice commission checks, and I had no idea what to do with it. I tried teaching myself how to trade and invest in the stock market, failed continuously. My buddy Ben here had some more success and in that area, so I went to him just as a friend and said, "Hey, I need some help here. How can I get invested? And I'll hand it to Ben and, how he actually shared the idea of what he started doing himself. And Ben, I'll hand it to you to kind of take us through the rest of the origin story.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to when I was in college, or for anybody outside the U.S. university. It goes back to then where I was day trading. I was a day trader. I actually also ran an internet marketing and website development company throughout that time period as my way of making money versus, going out and being a bartender at the local pub or something to make some cash. I chose that route for some reason. But anyways, when I did get into corporate America, I wasn't as successful of a trader as I had been before, because I just didn't have the time during the day that I could have when I was in class, because class was only certain times of the day. So I couldn't make the trades I wanted to make, and my P&L, my profit and loss statement was suffering as a result. So eventually I taught myself how to develop these automated strategies, these algorithms that would execute trades based on the strategies that I had set up. Once I started doing that, I started to see consistent results again. And Dillon, just weird how all the timing worked out. Like he mentioned, COVID hit. He had nothing left to sell. There was no suites left to sell for the Jets because nobody was attending these sporting events. And he's like, "Hey, I think if we make this easy enough, we could give this to everybody." So it was my passion for trading, Dillon's passion for selling and getting useful things in the hands of people that really sparked PeakBot.
That's great. I mean, trading is a very complicated stuff. I've been trading my life. So easy to lose money. It's unbelievably easy. Very difficult.
It's easier to lose money than make it.
Yeah, I mean, 99% of traders, I mean, amatorial one, they all lose money. They have the perception maybe they had some good trade, but at the end of the year, they lost probably everything. But I say I saw so many people lose everything, which means houses, wife, kids, everything.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's addiction trading. It's like poker. It's a pure addiction. The more you lose, the more you're going to bet, and the more you're going to lose.
It's legal gambling. You're right.
Yeah, it's a gamble. It's a gamble. I mean, it's a gamble. If you know how to trade, today it's all about algorithm. Even there, it's very complicated anyway. How was the feeling when you started the business together?
Boy, started with incredible amounts of excitement, right? For me, Ben had a little bit of a different background. He had been an entrepreneur and started and exited a few businesses prior. This was my first engagement in the world of, being your own boss and trying to build something from scratch. Incredibly exciting because we knew we had a product that could really have an impact for the 90% of retail traders who were failing, right? And that still holds true today. So we were really excited about it. Of course, as you get into it, it's the juggling act. We both started while we had full-time jobs, of course, as most entrepreneurs do, and that's stressful, right? It takes a toll on you, your health, your relationships, your social life, your time. A lot of sacrifices needed to be made. So roller coaster emotions right from the start, right? Incredibly exciting and also very stressful, but and not much has changed there. It's still a roller coaster, but we wake up every day and choose that, right? This is what we're passionate about. So, Ben, I'll kick it to you if you have anything.
Yeah, no, I echo those feelings. For me, when it first started, I'm always excited about a new idea at first. It's the ideas that last as long as this one has that are really exciting. Just because you've got something. If not, it would have fell off a long time ago. So that's also a factor that played into deciding to do PeakBot full time. So.
One day you had to decide. If you want to succeed, one day you must move full time. You can be there part time. Part time, I understand, because you don't have the pressure of performing too much. You still have something on the side, keep you going. But you will never succeed. There's no way you can go part time, getting there to the point of succeeding. But what do you find the most struggles? Where was the most difficult part when you started?
Dylan, I'll take this one. I think when we were first starting, it was, how do we make this understandable for, the everyday person? Like, our whole idea here is to make options trading simple and just the most seamless experience for the new individual. But options trading itself is inherently complex. And we're still working through this, and we're still struggling in terms of our messaging out to our target audience of how this works, how this is beneficial. And we are getting better at it, but it is a struggle every day, but we're getting better at it. But as soon as it clicks for somebody, it's all uphill for them from there. So in my mind, the struggle, wasn't so much in my life, but it was more so like in other people's lives, getting them to understand the benefit that was right in front of them.
And just to quickly add on that, from a personal standpoint, my biggest struggle was I'm not a technical trader, right? I hadn't had previous success in the stock market. I didn't know how, when we started this, I would look at a stock chart and I didn't know what way was up, right? So really diving in and learning everything there is to learn about the back end of this business and trading and these algorithms and the statistics and all the indicators, that was really tough. And then I think, Ben kind of nailed it. The biggest struggle that we faced as a business was, and still today, was trying to shake people and say, hey, this is available to you. This is, yes, how Wall Street hedge funds have been trading for decades, right? But this is now available to you. You can trade hands-free. You can put a stock trader in your pocket. So it's just kind of battling that too good to be true objective. That was a big struggle and still is today.
What about your life? I mean, there is so much talk about the life balance, which is my life is not balanced at all. It's 99% work, but I'm okay in any way. But the point is, be a founder, impact your life in a good or bad way.
Yeah, for me, the work-life balance has always been something that has been a struggle, right? Especially, as you can probably tell from Ben and I in our backgrounds, we're in our homes, right? We work from home here. And when you work from home, work never stops, right? Especially now with your phone here or your laptop is just 2 feet away. It's really hard to dissociate yourself, especially as an entrepreneur trying to get a business off the ground. I mean, there's not enough hours in the day. If we could work 25 hours a day, we would. So that was really tough. But I think Ben and I have done a really good job of picking up each other. Right? We kind of work on not alternate schedules, but we make sure that we still have time. We have wives at home, and families and everything. So it's a struggle for sure. We've gotten lucky with our partners to who understand our passion for this business and really let us do what we need to do to get this business off the ground.
Yeah, I think Jeff Bezos changed the phrase work-life balance to work-life harmony, and I could relate to that a little bit more. It was definitely more difficult when I was still working in a full-time consulting role. Late nights and weekends were all PeakBot. Now it's, I get about an hour or two back at night, but other than that, yeah, it's all systems go for PeakBot.
I mean, I admire Bezos. It's very quiet, and to me, it's the best one indeed. But I mean, it depends how you feel, right? If you want to work 15 hours, you're still in harmony with yourself and the people around you. It's not always the case, but with yourself, you can manage it. That's fine. Where's the problem? I can see a big problem here. Many founders, they try to give to themselves a routine. Wake up 6 o'clock and go on, and so on and so forth. Do you have something similar in your schedule?
Yeah, try to, right? So for me, I've been full time on PeakBot since last year, toward the end of last year, and the schedule has been rigorous, and as it has to be, right? So I'm typically up by 6, at my desk by 6:30 or 7, working on PeakBot until 6:30 or 7 at night, right? I mean, 11, 12-hour days during the week. And then, of course, as Ben mentioned, nights and weekends as well. We're in the customer service business, right? When a client messages you, maybe at 10:30 at night when you're ready to, go to sleep, we're not going to let that slip, right? We're going to make sure that we're in touch and that we provide the A+ customer service because that's what matters. I'll kick it to Ben for.
Yeah, my schedule is I I don't know. I like developing a routine. Like I know when I work best. I know I work best early in the mornings. So I like doing. I like to try to get on my laptop by 6 a.m. or so, and then I do like to take a bit of an extended break in the middle of the day just to get refreshed. So I'll try to stop working around like 11:30, maybe take a 2 hour break or so where I can get a workout in. I can make some lunch and then just get ready for the afternoon session, as I call it. And then I'll take a break around 7 o'clock for dinner. My wife is great; she'll make me dinner every night, so I could just put the laptop down and then go eat. And then the evening is it's a lot of administrative stuff for me that I just didn't get to during the day, and then preparing for the next day. But yeah, my bulk of really solid good work comes from 6 a.m. to like 11 a.m.
As you started, I mean, since you started, have you ever thought, why have I done this? It's too tough. It's not going to happen. I'm just wasting my time.
It's a great question and a question and a thought that does creep in, but I like to ignore, truthfully, right? Yeah, look, I think any entrepreneur, in a startup who's going to tell you that they never thought that, I think they're, I think they're full of it, Um, but truthfully, there's good days and bad days. When those thoughts do creep in, I think the world works in a funny way where, later that day or the next morning, I get a client or a testimonial or somebody calling us and telling us, "Hey, man, you really changed my life with this. Like, you've gotten me my time back. I feel freedom. I can focus on my career and my family." And, it just takes one good phone call or one good conversation to really snap you back in to why you're doing this, why it matters. And yes, it's going to be tough, but nothing's worth doing if it's easy, right? That's no fun. We don't sign. That's not why we signed up for this. So yeah, that thought comes, but we try to just block it out.
Yeah, I completely agree with Dylan. Of course, those thoughts are going to come up, but you learn to ignore those thoughts and like put them to the side, because when you take a further step back, at least for me, I think about the opportunity that's in front of us. If you think about it, there's no household name for algorithmic trading right now, right? Robinhood back in the 2010s cemented itself as the household name for retail trading in general, just because of their ease of use, their marketing. They really did a great job. Now there's a lot of options, of course, and a lot of people have followed their model, but they were really the first ones that kind of broke through into like this commission-free, accessible trading for everybody. I do believe that we are right on that cusp of automation in the trading industry as well. So for me, it's like, you can't think that, because PeakBot will be that household name.
Even the name is very there, right? It's very easy to remember. What do you enjoy the most and what you really don't like? I mean, nobody likes accounting, nobody likes compliance, but what's your case?
Whoa, don't say nobody likes accounting. I'm an accountant.
I know. The majority tell me no.
Ben, you can take it.
Yeah, I'll kick it off. For me, the most enjoyable part of my work is developing these strategies and problem solving with our team. I mean, just yesterday we had a pretty heated debate internally as to, should we allow our clients to set a profit target on their strategies. One side was saying, no, why would we let a client ruin the strategy like that? And the other side was, well, what if the client is is more risk averse and doesn't want to, risk their capital as much? So our process was, okay, let's figure out what makes the most sense on paper. So long story short, we spent a couple hours running through some mathematical theories and calculations, and together we came together, problem solved. And I'll admit, the side that I was on lost. On paper, made more sense to go one way, and that wasn't the way that I initially thought. But the whole process was fun, and it was great getting the team all thinking about the same problem and solving it very quickly.
Yeah, and going back to your question, Max, of like if I what the least favorite thing is, I'm not a numbers guy. That's why I partnered with Ben, CPA, right? When we look at our pro forma, right? When we look at, hey, how are we going to budget this? It goes without saying, Ben knows that this is probably my least favorite aspect of things because I'm a career salesman, right? I'm just like, hey, whatever it's going to take to get it done, we're going to do it, right? Like that's the mindset I've always had. And it's nice to have a balance with a partner who's like rooted in data and rooted in facts and finances. So yeah, not a numbers guy as far as financials go. So that would be my least favorite aspect of things.
I mean, you can have the same skills. Doesn't work in this way, right? You need to match them. So it makes a lot of sense. But founders must have a lot of resilience and motivation. Now, how you keep yourself motivated all the way, especially when bad day comes, the bad day is there always to come. And how do you keep yourself resilient?
Yeah, not to be too repetitive here, but the motivation that I get is, we have a growing community of traders who trust us to automate their portfolios with our strategies. And the proof is in the pudding. Our product works, right? I jokingly say to anybody, whether it's a potential investor or a affiliate partner or even a new customer, and they say, hey, tell me about PeakBot. Well, I start and say, well, here, to be honest with you, the best part about this is it works, right? Because there's been a lot of businesses in our space that truthfully haven't worked. There's been a lot of bad business out there prior to PeakBot. So that's what the motivation is. We know we have a business that works. I think for a lot of startups, they have a great idea and maybe they're good at marketing and they're good at content and they can create a buzz around their product. But they don't really have the product to back it up. So really what keeps me motivated is, hey, we know we have something that works. It's just really a matter of locking into our target audience, figuring out the right messaging and getting in front of them, at scale. So that's what keeps me motivated. We know we have a solution for a major problem. And that problem is that, again, 90% of retail traders fail. And we know how to get them their time back, get them to stick to a consistent strategy, and keep emotions out of trading. Discipline is everything in trading. Fear and greed is what ruins people. And we know that we can solve for all three of those major problems. So that's what keeps me motivated.
For me, I always think back to the team that we've got. And I like to believe that we've created a culture where, everybody has a bad day. Everybody has a day where they're feeling lethargic, they're lacking that motivation. But I feel that we've created a culture to where it's safe to put your hand up and say, hey, I need help. I need somebody to just step in here, get me remotivated. I mean, Dillon and I do it for each other constantly, and we do it for our development team. We do it with our operations team. And it's just knowing that you've got people behind you to support you, pick you up wherever you might be lacking. And knowing that, the feeling that you've got is temporary. And if you're lacking that motivation, it's temporary. And like I said, we've got a great team. Somebody on this team is going to really kick you into gear and get you motivated again.
What's your relationship with failure? With failing, we fail every day, but I'm talking about the big one. I talk about shutting down the company.
Yeah, man. Thanks for that. No, no, truthfully, I won't speak for Ben, but my mindset on failure has always been fail fast. Let's fail fast. We know we're going to mess up. We know we're going to make errors. We know we're going to have a marketing campaign that we thought was what was going to get us to 10,000 users and it falls flat on its face, right? I'd rather fail fast, right? Not to sound cliche, but like, I don't think there's such thing as failing. There's only learning, right? It's like, yeah, we're going to make mistakes, but if we can make the mistakes quick, learn from them, and make sure we don't make them again, I think we can have a really successful business and a really fun journey here. So, yeah, my relationship with failure is, I know it's going to happen, so let's get it out of the way. Let's let's get it out of the way and let's learn.
Yeah, I agree with that in terms of like, I'll call it micro failures, right? Like if a marketing campaign doesn't work out, I totally agree. Like fail fast. In terms of the entire business failing, there have been times throughout this journey like Dylan and I, had to look each other in the eyes and say like, hey, are we on the right path here? Are we failing as a business? And if we were leaning towards yes, neither of us will ever admit it. we'll know that the ship is sinking a little bit, and then we'll say no, we're fine. But then we'll work together and we'll figure out, all right, what do we need to do to fix this right now? Do we need to adjust the budget somewhere to manage our cash flow? Do we need to reinvigorate some members of our development team so that way they get back in? So it's so my relationship to failing is, when it's identified that failure is starting, it's how do we prevent it, or how do we mitigate this problem that we see in front of us?
We learn from. I never been scared of failing. I've had 1, 2, 3, 6 startups in my life. Failing is there, and of course, it's a kind of cliche that the faster you go in terms of failing, the better. But there is some kind of truth, right? So if you fail fast, it's less being than failing after 4, 5, 6 years. Very painful. That's a very strong one. But you learn a lot. That's the journey. Venture capital startup is about the journey. It's not the last day or what's the target. You need to enjoy day by day, live day by day, because that's where you learn. And watch back sometimes and see what you've done so far. What do you do? What do you like to do in your spare time? You can't work night and day.
Yeah, good question. I obviously try to spend as much time with my wife and family as possible, because we're putting so many hours into PeakBot. From a social standpoint, huge golfer. I know Ben is too. We love to golf. So we live in New Jersey. We don't have the fortune of being able to golf all year round. So, it's just finally starting to get nice out. And so whenever we can come up for air, I'm getting on the golf course. And that's kind of like my reset button, just get out there, listen to some good music, play some golf with some good friends, and just kind of check out for 5 hours. It is a long game. So yeah, that's really, there's more to it, but that's really all I've created time for recently.
It's golf in the winter, skiing. I play guitar, if you couldn't tell. Spending time with my wife. And Dylan didn't mention we're actually on the same softball team together. So
okay.
Yeah, we play softball on Monday nights.
Well, our bodies can still handle it for now.
You're still young, but I can tell you, I was a guy of 5 hours per day, and after the day when you need to reduce 4 or 5 times per week, 1 hour per time. For me, it's very annoying. But what do you want to do? That's the body until you can push as much as you can. You live in US, by far the biggest tech community in the world, the strongest country in terms of venture capital and informal economics. But how do you see the startup ecosystem going? Is something like Silicon Valley sustainable, or it's more going to, I don't know, a more humanity, something similar? Because today, venture capital is massive money. It's still little return.
Yeah, we do live, in my opinion, in probably the best place, as you mentioned, to live out the American dream, start up your own business, get it off the ground, and have your success. I think, over the last 5 to 10 years, we've seen an incredible amount of resources being dumped into trying to support entrepreneurs and these young businesses, which we're thankful for, right? Look, there's still the big dogs that run the show here, but I think we're very lucky in the fact that there are an incredible amount of resources for young companies and young founders to lean on to really get our business off the ground. And as far as like the ecosystem around technology, and where we're headed in that direction, I think for our lane specifically, I mean, the retail trader hasn't had access to the type of automation and algorithms that we're now providing. And we've really been trying to do is level the playing field between that institutional trader or institutional investor on Wall Street or with these hedge funds to really bridge that gap for the retail trader and provide them with what has been owed to them for probably 30 or 40 years now, just making it accessible. So hopefully that answers the question.
For me, whenever I think about like our tech ecosystem, I just gravitate towards Gen AI, right? Because that's the new hot topic. That's what everybody's talking about. It's what everybody wants. Thinking through all of we use Gen AI for development at PeakBot. And I think back to, because PeakBot existed before ChatGPT, for example, and we also now exist after ChatGPT. And I think about like the processes that we used to go through without GPT and thinking about how much more efficient and faster we are now. It's incredible. And I kind of lose myself in my thoughts when I think, what's the world going to be like in 2 more years from now?
Oh, yeah.
It's just like this compounding effect, this exponential effect of our tech ecosystem and like all of the available tools and capabilities and how these things are implemented. It's mind-boggling, honestly.
Let me touch a very hard topic, which is the climate. How do you feel? I mean, are you scared? And when it comes to climate changing?
Boy, truthfully, I hate to say this, but it's true. I haven't given it as much time and attention and thought as I probably should. Ben and I are, starting young families, and it's definitely a terrifying thought to know, where we might be headed in the next 10, 20, 30, 50 years. Truthfully, you asking that question is probably going to give me some retrospect and probably spend some more time to think about that. I hate to say this, I don't have time to be scared right now. I right now, truly, I wake up thinking about PeakBot, going to sleep thinking about it, and really making a change for our community and the traders that we're trying to reach. Ben, I don't know if you have any expansion on that.
Yeah, when I was still in my corporate job, I was actually doing a lot of consulting work and was one of the co-leaders for our ESG products that we were looking through and working with. And it was really interesting. Yes, there are many problems out there and there's many proposed solutions. And I got to work on a lot of really interesting softwares, that had to do with climate change. And the one thing that, I can reflect back on is there are a lot of issues, but there's also a lot of really smart people dealing with those issues. So I can go to sleep at night, resting assured that somebody else has it. I mean, as it relates to PeakBot, like Dillon said, like kind of a, not as relevant for PeakBot. But as an individual citizen, everybody could play their own part, and everybody playing their own part does make a difference. I think that, especially wrapping it back to technology, there's some, like I said, there's some really cool software out there that allow for companies to do some really, climate changing things. So a lot of
Right.
cool things will be hitting the market soon.
Indeed. I mean, it's there. We need to tackle the problem and find a concrete, sustainable solution. But which are the things that really touch you the most that you're willing to fight for?
I think for me, when I see an opportunity to improve other people's lives in a way that I can do it at scale, and this relates directly back to PeakBot and is one of my core motivating factors. Um, I think that should be attacked with full force. Um, and I won't keep going back to my corporate job, but like at my corporate job, I loved the stuff I was able to do there because the scale at which we were able to help people and help businesses and drive efficiencies was scalable. So I think that we've got the really unique opportunity at PeakBot to do that for, everyday people that, like Dillon said at the beginning of this podcast here, it's 90% of retail traders fail. And if we could put a small dent in that, then we can make that statistic 89% of retail traders fail. That's a win. That's a lot of traders.
It does.
Yeah. And just to expand on it very briefly, we are in the business of messing with people's money. Messing's not the right word. That doesn't sound great, but like this is people's hard-earned money that we're, working with and then providing them solutions for. And, when you talk to our customers, when you get in front of our clients and they share their struggles with you, and where they would like to be spending their time, and how they would like more financial stability. There's endless opportunities here in this country and around the world, but the most money that's made, the stock market makes the most millionaires and billionaires more than anything else on this planet, and people want an opportunity to play fair, and we think we provide that. And so that's really what drives us at the end of the day. And as Ben mentioned, like even if it's a marginal change, it matters, and we provide a big impact there.
It does. I mean, trading is tough again. So if you can help someone to make some money, don't lose everything. That's a big job. Do you like reading? And if yes, do you have any book that really changed your way to think?
I'm an audiobook guy. Just easier for me to consume that way. If I'm like on the treadmill or something, or, out for a nice walk, I could pop in an audiobook. Thinking about like a lot of how I base my work day and effort and philosophy, it's actually based off of like Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week. I know the book is about like developing systems to, get a product out to market quickly and make it repeatable and, be as hands off as possible. But there are a lot of principles in that book that I do try to apply. Even though I'm not obviously working a 4-hour work week, not even working a 40-hour work week. But there are still principles to be learned from within that book, and it's entertaining, right? Like you think through like the book at least sparks your imagination. Think like, oh, what if I did do that, and then it did work, and then what would my life look like? So it's entertaining while at the same time it shares some interesting business principles.
Yeah, for me, Ben knows this. I, for a very long time, wasn't a big reader. And, you have all your idols and all these people who have successful businesses and these entrepreneurs, and in interview after interview, they credit their success to reading and these books that changed their lives and everything. And so I've really picked it up. My favorite book, I actually have it right here. It's called The Daily Stoic. My favorite part about it is it's 1 page a day. I can handle that. I can handle 1 page a day. There's a quote from, some philosopher, whether it's modern or back in the day, and they discuss, the disciplines of, problem solving. And I'm trying to look at the thing here. But for me, it's just like it's digestible, right? The discipline of perception, the discipline of action, the discipline of will, and just being able. It's a humble reminder every day that it's just like no matter what you're struggling with or what's going well for you in the grand scheme of things, you're just a speck, right? Like just do the right things for the right reasons for the right people, and that's a nice reminder to get every day. Yeah, again, The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman.
So what about movie? Do you spend some time?
Yeah, boy. For me, my favorite actor is Tom Hanks. I am a sucker for almost every Tom Hanks movie there is. My favorite movie of all time is probably Forrest Gump. Max, I hope you've seen it. If you haven't, I'll make sure you do.
Yeah, I did.
That's my favorite movie of all time. Ben, I don't know what you got, but
Yeah, so Dylan doesn't read books. I don't really watch movies. But I will say probably my favorite actor is, I know, the one that comes to mind is Ryan Reynolds, just because he does so much off screen as well. And he's an entrepreneur himself. You could look into all of the different business ventures that he has and how he gives back. And, if a guy that's as busy as he is can do all the things that he's doing, like there's no excuse for us not being able to do what we really believe in.
I agree. Me, the best lesson you got in your life. What really life has been teaching you that matters today.
yeah, do what you love. I think that so many people, especially young professionals, exiting college or university are kind of trained to go find the stable, safe job. Which don't get me wrong, like there's nothing wrong with that. I did the same thing. But after some time, you kind of realize, when you wake up in the morning, and you start dreading the day ahead of you, that becomes a long day. And regardless of how much money you might be making or whatever the case might be, whatever perks are available to you, it doesn't compare to working on something that you're really passionate about. So that's the most valuable lesson I've ever learned is, again, it sounds cliche, but like if you do something you love, then you're never really working a day in your life. And I think that's a good long life to live.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I have a moment from when I was in college. I had a professor that drew on the chalkboard, and they were like, life isn't like this. It's not flat. It's not linear. It's like this. And we've been talking this whole show, like, this whole experience of entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. And the best piece of advice that I learned was, because I think we've all been at the top of these peaks and we've been in the low of the valleys. And the advice that I was given was, when you do feel like you're in the valley, just remember what it was like at the peak and know that life is not like this. And life isn't like this. It's like this. And when you are in the valley, you will get back to the peak. Now, it might not be exactly how you think you will or what you imagine it to be, but you'll be back there. So
You must
that's
believe
what.
it. Well, very strongly. Your greatest wish. What you wish the most for yourself, for your family. You're both married, and
For PeakBot to be the household name for automated trading.
That was mine. That was my answer too.
I knew I had to beat you to it, Dylan.
Yeah, I have it written down. You sent the program structure here, and I knew that question was coming, and I had it written down in all capital letters. That's our greatest wish for the business: become the household name for automated trading. Outside of the business, just live a long, healthy, happy life. I think the same as anybody else's wish is just, you know, I think we're really fortunate to be in the position that we're in right now. Doesn't mean what we're doing is easy, but um, not forgetting how good we have it. Yeah, just longevity, health, and happiness, and the household name for automated trading.
let me close with a recommendation. If you can recommend something to all the founders watching this podcast, what would you like to tell them?
For me, it's, and again, this might be slightly repetitive, but I think if you can root yourself and your business and your cause in doing the right thing for the right reasons, it's going to work out. Ben and I have had some, as we said, we've had some scary days, some scary weeks, some scary months where we're just, questioning, why did we ever do this in the first place? Or is this going to work? And, we're quickly reminded and humbled by how transparent we've been throughout this whole process to ourselves, to our team, and to our customers. If you do things for the right reasons, it should work out. I can't say it will. I'm not going to say we're going to bat 1,000% here, but do things for the right reasons. And again, fail fast. Like, try things. Why not? Especially for somebody who's younger. We're 30 years old. We got a whole life ahead of us. Try something. If it doesn't work, try it again. Try something else. But do things for the right reasons and fail fast.
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate the advice that was given to me. Life's not like this. If you're feeling like you're in a valley, there's a peak coming up.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And what I really like to say to everyone, you must fully believe what you are doing. That's how, because you will get to the valley, but if you believe, you will get back to the peak in any way, 100%. Dillon, Ben, thank you so much for coming to Live Founder. It's been an absolute pleasure for me. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
And not to have a play on words here, but hopefully we'll see you at the peak. That's our slogan here at PeakBot. So really appreciate you having us, and thanks so much.